Guys, the most important question at the start of the tour is where is everybody from, so I know which countries not to make fun of on the tour. Over here we had Sweden, cool. Back there we got Germany. Over here we got US. Back there we got Poland. Dzień dobry. Over here we got Austria, cool. Back there.
Don't make fun of Austria.
You're not on the castle tour, so we won't be talking about the Habsburgs too much today. So we got Austria over here. Germany, cool. Germany. Germany. Hungary, oh yeah. Cool. South Africa. US and US over here as well. This is my tour assistant. Which, by the way, I've been doing this job for the past 9 years. When COVID hit, I realized I have no recording of my tour whatsoever. So this is the tour that I'll be recording so I can show it to my kids when I'm like 40.
You're not my children, but I also haven't hit 30 yet, so it all evens out. Sup ghouls, it's me, this guy, the dude who writes all these stories on this channel and occasionally reads them. Summer's upon us, and if you can't tell from the state of my voice, I've been doing a lot of yelling. Originally, I was planning on doing a slightly more comprehensive update video, mixed in with a Q&A and a celebration on 5k subs and all that sort of stuff. But to be honest, I am absolutely exhausted. If you're new to the channel, I spend my summers working as a tour guide in the mother of all cities, Prague. I love the job and it pays the bills much better than writing, but screaming in the sun for 6 hours a day doesn't leave me with much energy to do the whole writing thing, let alone the whole YouTube thing. So for next 2 or so months, I'll be taking a bit of a break to build up the backlog of stories and other projects that will be airing on this channel when the trees shed their leaves and the sun stops burning my skin. Worry not though, plenty of stuff is being worked on. There's a collection of Lovecraft-inspired tales sitting on my desktop, a handful of first drafts of the next shared universe series, 10 standalone creepypasta stories, a 4-part novella about infidelity and a haunted apartment, a giant non-creepypasta novella connected to the United People's Institute of Science, and, last but not least, a collection of Clean Mind janitorial mindfulness tapes. The first of the 7 Clean Mind episodes will be airing on podcast platforms from July 10th to July 16th, and the rest of the projects are crazy close to being finished, or, as in the case with a couple of the Lovecraft-inspired stories, already available for patrons and YouTube channel members. I'm still putting in a couple hours a day working on content, so as things get finished off, they'll get posted up along with the rest of the early access stuff.
YouTube memberships? Mike, please tell me more.
I hear you screech from behind your computer screen. Thanks for asking. Much like with my Patreon, YouTube channel memberships allow me to release early content without worrying about video titles or thumbnails or click-through rates or promotion. The current tiers are essentially identical to everything you can get on Patreon, with the added benefits of little membership icons and exclusive emoji. If you want to help support the show, drop on by. Every buck goes towards making new weird stuff. Speaking of which, big thanks to all the folks who have been supporting me on Patreon so far, especially Moo, Serafina L, Lucky J Horton, Alan Rawl, Kus, Bob Konderk, Chicken Mixer, Daniel Wengel, and Mr. Creepypasta. Which, side note, got all of your names imprinted in the back of my skull from reading them in all of the Cabinet of Fever Dreams outros. Which, side note part 2, new episodes of the Cabinet of Fever Dreams come out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Already cut together all of the episodes until late July, so there shouldn't be any production hiccups there. I got a train to Slovakia I gotta catch in about 5 hours, so I gotta go pass out, but I'll leave you with this. The first stop my walking tour where I discussed the question of why the Czechs are such an atheist nation. Thank you for all of your likes and kind words and supports. I'll be back so soon you won't even notice I was ever gone. Have a nice summer and stay spooky out there.
Alright y'all, so where we are right now, first up of the tour, to start off with something light, start off with something that nobody has any strong opinions about, something that nobody ever argues about. Let's talk about religion. Do you guys know what the most prominent religion in this country currently is? Anybody know? Lucky guesses? You would be wrong. About 10% of the population is Christian. I think 8% of that is Catholic, 2% Protestant. But we are the second most atheist nation in the world, coming in at about 70 to 80% atheist/agnostic. Which, whenever I tell people this, tourists are like, how can you guys be so atheist with so many churches all over the place? And generally there are 3 different sorts of responses. First one, the one that you will get from like non-educated, like non-historical Czechs, when you just ask a random person on the street, why are the Czechs so atheist? will say we don't have enough room for God within our hearts because we like our fried food, we like our beer, we like our liquor, and a bunch of other things where it's way too early in the morning to be talking about. But there's a more historical explanation that will look at the communist regime. Now, between 1948 to 1989, there was a single-party totalitarian state run by the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia over here, which I'll speak a lot about them later on in the tour. But simply put, totalitarian states, where the state has complete control over its population, they generally don't like religious people very much. Because if I believe in a higher power, I believe in something stronger than the state, and thus it can challenge the power structure of the state. So totalitarian states are not often fans of the religious, unless they're a theocracy. It was not illegal to be religious here during the communist regime. However, your life would be significantly more difficult because it was difficult to get places in universities, get promotions, get a job to begin with, because you were seen as politically unreliable. So again, it wasn't illegal, just it was very difficult to be a religious person. And a lot of people will say that that's the reason why we're such an atheist nation today. But the people who say that we're such an atheist nation because of communism, they've clearly never heard of Poland or Slovakia, some of the most Catholic countries in the world. And I would say that communism does play into our atheism, but the main reason why we're such an atheist nation today is because of a single individual. That guy. The guy in the statue, not the guy in the truck. That's a man by the name of Jan Hus, who was a preacher in the 15th century, and two things made him special as a preacher. Thing number one, the guy would openly preach in Czech. Mind-blowing at the time, because everybody else would preach in Latin. Guess who doesn't speak Latin over here? Literally everyone. So all of a sudden you have a man who preaches in the language of the people with a lot of passion, with a lot of charisma. And the second thing that makes this guy special, which is also going to spoil this story for you if you know even a bit about European history, is this man openly preaches against the Catholic Church. Catholic Church, not a big fan of constructive criticism. And he's invited over to Constance, Germany for a bit of a conversation. And by bit of a conversation, I mean they tie him to a stake and they burn him alive. This happens in the year 1414. His followers, the Hussites, they find out in the year 1418. Which, by the way, you have to appreciate a quick flow of information in the modern day. We would know like right away, there'd be a tweet about it. Back then, people can't really read or write, so it takes about 3 to 4 years for the common folk to find out that the leader of their movement is dead. But as soon as they find out, they riot. And they march to the new town hall of Prague, where just imagine a big tower basically, with a big window on top. And this is where the 12 Catholic noblemen that sent this man over to his death are residing. And the Hussites, they run in, get into a big shouting argument with the Catholic noblemen. They say what you did, God thinks it's wrong. God thinks it's wrong. And the Catholics say, no, what we did, God thinks it's right. What your guy said, God thinks it's wrong. No, what our guy said, God thinks it's right. What your guy, you get very far with that conversation. And finally, the Hussites say, you know what? I can't judge you. You can't judge me. Let's do a judgment by God. Which the Catholics say, sure. Wait, what are you doing? Because immediately the Hussites crack open the nearest window, grab the nearest Catholic nobleman, chuck them out of the window, grab the next one, chuck them out of the window, grab the next one, so on and so forth. So a grand total of 12 Catholic noblemen being thrown out of the window of the new town hall of Prague in 1418, in what is now known as the first defenestration of Prague. Which, by the way, first, because we would do this multiple times, and defenestration, because we did it so much, there is a special word for it. Coming from Latin, de fenestra, out of the window, it is seen as a true judgment by God. Because if we get into a disagreement, so it's weird making eye contact with somebody on the tour because it sounds like I'm threatening you, which I totally am. If we get into a disagreement, I throw him out of a window and he dies, guilty. God said so. We kill him with the whole gravity thing. Throw out of the window and you survive. Nobody survives the first defenestration of Prague because at the bottom of that window there's a bunch of guys with pikes and spears catching a Catholic nobleman, making sure that God's judgment is indeed just and quick. With that said, if you murder a bunch of Catholic noblemen in the heart of Catholic 15th century Europe, the other Catholic kingdoms are not excited about this. So they send crusades over here. 5 crusades come through, 4 of them we defeat, and the final one deals a killing blow to the Russian Revolution. And basically this sets off Czech religious history. We always have a ruling Catholic class, common for Protestants, rise in tension, boiling point, throw some guys out of a window, have religious war, that we always lose. And then everybody's Catholic. And then some people start converting, ruling Catholic class, common for Protestants, throw some guys out of a window, have a religious war, that we always lose. Everybody's Catholic, rinse, wash, repeat. To many historians, this is the main reason why we're such an atheist nation. Because we have spilled a lot of blood in the name of God. We've lost every single time. Which kind of led us to give up on God, which might be bad for our eternal souls. But it's great for you guys. You know, visit all these churches and you're really not disturbing anyone. Just please remember, if you are popping into the church, no hats, no flash photography. And maybe don't go church hopping Sunday morning. That's when the 7 or 8 religious people go out to pray. So please don't disturb people praying in these churches. But that's it. If you're looking for church recommendations later on in the tour, more than happy to help you out. Just ask me during the break or at the end of the tour. With that said, guys, we're gonna make our way over to the Old Town Square. Sorry, to the clock tower right now, which is another part of the Old Town Square, to speak about the clock tower. This way.